What's good, everybody? I'm Justin Miller, owner of Legends of Athletics, back with another episode. In this episode, I want to talk about 40 times official, unofficial. We're in the middle of combine season. Guys are getting out there running, showcasing their talent, and trying to earn that NFL paycheck. So let's look at what it means. Let's look into some of the hype. And if you like the channel, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, be legendary. Before we jump into the meat of the topic at hand, if you like the content, please like, share, and most of all, most importantly, become a subscriber. Become a subscriber of the YouTube channel. As we get more subscribers, that helps us run up in the rankings. And so we've been at 300 for almost, I feel like it's been about a year. So this year, the goal is to try to get to 1,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscriptions. And if we can do that, man, I'll be forever grateful. Just subscribe and share it with somebody, and I'll forever be grateful to you. So to get into the subject at hand, talking about 40 times, this is like, to me personally, like being in a sports performance arena and areas, 40 times are one of the things that are like, it's great, but it also can be like overhyped.
Oh!
If I was looking at things that directly correlate to a player performance, like for my bigger guys, I would look at something like the 0 to 10 yard time, or that 0 to 20 or 10 to 20 yard time, to give me like a good microscope or a good scope of like what this player can and cannot do. And it's just vice versa. If I'm looking at a receiver, a quarterback, any skill position player, then the 40 time does matter. But the reason I say it can be overhyped is because how many times in a game does a player run 40 yards? Just in general. Unless it's like a outside receiver, they may do a lot of 20s and 30s, things like that, depending on the route tree or route combination they have. But outside of that, like many players are running even 10 to 20 yards per play. And so I feel like the 40 is great. It's just more of one of those showmanship things, just to show off like pure speed and athletic skill, but it can also be overhyped. And so with that being said, let's jump into the 40-yard dash at hand, because that's what one of the metrics that are used to profile a player, profile an athlete, and show what this athlete is or is not. And so when we look at the 40-yard dash, you have things that pop up at the combine, such as official, and you have the letter U, which represents unofficial. So what do those two things mean? Well, official is mostly correlated and calculated by what I've looked up, calculated by an official fully automatic timing system. So this may be a laser timing system or something to that effect. So those little beams you see at the combine that are by the player's feet, those things are picking up as a player passes through the gate. They're picking up time and they're automatically timing without any human interaction. So it's all fully automatic. Unofficial times are hand timed and timed by humans and coaches. So that's all that represents. And so what does this mean? Why do we see some players elect to run at the combine and some who elect to run at their pro day? To make this very simple and not long drawn out process, it's because at a pro day, this player is able to get a hand time versus an automatic time. How does this make a difference in anything? A hand time is always going to be faster than a fully automated time. So I can just about guarantee when I see a player run a 4.5 hand time, they're more times than not going to run a 4.6 on the fully automatic timing system. Or if they run a 4.4 on fully automatic timing, then they're then they're going to run a 4.3 unofficial. And that's kind of just how it goes. You have to account for like human error, reaction time when you clocking and things like that. And so all those things come into play. Now, this video was inspired by watching Jalen Milroe run, University of Alabama quarterback that's entered the draft this year as a quarterback. Regardless of what you think, that's what the young man has elected to do. And so all the best wishes and best of luck to him in that endeavor. We are not breaking this down to break down his running form or what we think about the player, but I want to use him as an example. And so he was one of the players that did not elect to run at the combine, but he ran at his pro day, and I'm going to show that video here. You guys were able to see the video of him running. Now, to break a few things down in this video, one is if you ever seen somebody run a 4.3, it's a couple of different vantage points that you can watch, but 4.3, anything is 4.3, and it looks like, to see it on camera, you can pick it up a lot better than seeing it with like in person. Like if you see it in person, it's like freakishly fast, like a blink of an eye fast. But if you see it on camera, just with the way cameras are now, the way the setup and everything like that is, you can see it a lot clearer, a lot better. And it looks different. But when you've been coaching for a while, you develop a coach's eye. I'm not saying I'm an expert in this field, but you kind of know what different times look like without really having to look at the stopwatch directly to know what that is. Personally, I feel like Jalen is probably one of those high 4.5. Low 4.5. I'm sorry. Brain fart. Low 4.4, high 4.5 guys just running. I don't really believe he's a 4.3 anything. I think that's great for the TV and the cameras and things like that. But you can just look at his running form. One, he didn't hold his line whenever he came out of the blocks, and so you can see him drifting away from the hash marks when he was running. And then on top of that, you can just see him laboring the last 20 yards where he has great acceleration. So I'm sure his 0 to 10 is like crazy. I didn't even look it up. I didn't see that split. But his 0 to 10 looks crazy. But his last 30 are like, I really will say for his position, are about average. For a guy at that position at that level of college. Now, amongst quarterbacks, that's above average. But I'm saying that for a skilled player, he's about average whenever he stands up or gets tall or gets tall into his top end speed. And so, why would he run at a pro day versus running at the combine? This goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. It's about money on the table and what makes sense for that athlete. I've used this example plenty of times. If I have an athlete who is not performing a 40 well in training, meaning like these days, some trainers, I think more today than there were previously, just because of the barrier there, the cost barrier there, have laser timers on their own, so you can just about guarantee what an athlete is going to run before they get there because you're doing this in training. So if you have perfect training setup, like perfect training environment, meaning we're running on turf, there's no wind blowing, or better yet, we're indoors, so there's no external factors, you can just about guarantee what that player is going to run, or you have already seen their PRs previous to that day. Now that day you had to add in like adrenaline, maybe some tightness, some nervousness, things like that, but you already kind of know these things. With knowing that information, you know if they're ready to run on that laser or not. It's like I got some guys and players, athletes like that I'm like, man, I hope they are timing with the hand, because on the laser it's not bad, but you know where you are in the off season because that time is coming back and it's not exactly where you want it to be. Or if they time out great on a laser, you're even more excited to get a hand time because it's going to be even better. And so when you look at a player like Jalen Milroe, why would he do that? It just makes more sense. You playing for money in the bag. You working out for money in the bag. And so though we all may look at him and say he's a freak of nature, he's a freak athlete, well built, but things like that, it just didn't make sense for him to run at the combine versus running at his pro day. And that's for a lot of athletes. I know we look at people like Ashton Genty and things like that, and we're like, man, we want to see these guys perform at the highest level in that arena and things like that. But you got to take into all the factors and everything that accounts for that. Why not work out in your building? For some athletes, they don't have a choice but to work out at the combine. You got different. Everybody's situation is different, and so I do know that we live in a social media age, and so everybody has an opinion on something. and we all want to see these athletes perform just because, you know, you feel like that's what you're owed. But there's so much that goes into these guys potentially playing for and vouching for a spot, not just on the roster, but to change their families' lives and their own futures as well by those contracts and where you go in the draft and things like that, and maybe where a team sees your role. And so you just got to be careful about these metrics that you're playing with, because some players and some athletes just aren't great testers. But you know, everybody's different. It's a reason why some quarterbacks throw at the combine and some throw only on pro day. It's all about comfort level, because you're playing with your future and where you could go with the draft. And until you're drafted, you don't really know. Your stock can go up and come down. So it's always just best to be safe than sorry. And so anyway, that was just something I saw and I wanted to make a video on. Wanted to just kind of discuss and get into those things. And hey, again, if you like the content, don't forget to like, subscribe. Man, really mess with me. Like I said, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscriptions this year. And so if y'all don't mind, hit the follow button. And as always, be legendary.